Hello. Hi. So I'm Jill at engVid, and today we have an interview. And this time I'm interviewing two people, a couple whose names are Stefano and Lucia. So here we are. Thank you very much, Stefano.
Thank you.
Thank you for your invitation, Jill.
Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time and for agreeing to be interviewed and answer some questions about life in the UK and so on. So, okay. So thanks for the time, taking time to be with us. And of course, we've known each other for a few years now, haven't we?
Yes.
And I just wanted to show you a little present you gave me a while ago.
That's nice.
I think it was late last year, wasn't it? And
yes,
possibly, yeah.
To me, it was flowering. And then it finished flowering eventually, but it stayed a long time, I have to say.
This is nice.
Carried on for a long time, but then it sort of died away. But now it got a new shoot.
Definitely, it looks very well.
And it started flowering again, and it's got a flower and two buds coming.
Yes,
I thought you'd like to see that.
Yes, definitely. Thank you for letting me know.
It's like how it's coincided with our interview.
Definitely.
So thank you for
that.
Thank you for that. So okay, so perhaps just to begin with, you'd like to say something about yourselves, where you're from, your professions, your interests.
Yeah, okay. Shall I start?
Yes, of course.
Okay, I'm Stefano, of course. I'm from Milan. I'm Italian. I'm an Italian native speaker. I'm an IT guy, so I work in the information technology industry here to London. And this is Lucia, my wife.
Yes, my name is Lucia. My first language is Italian. I come from Como, which is not far, a city not too far from Milan. And I'm a rheumatology specialist nurse, and I work for the NHS.
Aha, okay. So the National Health Service that we have in the UK.
Exactly.
So that's great. We did interview someone else also who works for the NHS as a researcher. So obviously the NHS is a very, very big employer, isn't it, in the UK?
I think we are many, many people, very popular.
That's right. And so, Stefano, you work in IT and...
completely different industry, if you like, but I had the chance to work here to London and talk with many people from around the world, because my clients from the UK, of course, but from Germany or France, Canada, US, Singapore, so I can talk with a lot of people with different timings. I mean,
Yes. So
challenging.
London being such a cosmopolitan city, there's always whoever you work with, or people you see every day, could be from any country.
Any country. And this is challenging, if you like, but it's so amazing. I like it. I love it.
Yes, oh good. And is that quite different from Italy, the area in Italy where you're both from?
Yeah, Milan is a big city, it's a busy city, so you can have pretty the same spirit, but not like London, of course, London is a melting pot of cultures, so you can meet people. It's easier to meet people from everywhere, so it's very good, it's very nice, to have the occasion to share different cultures, tastes, and you learn a lot, actually. So
yes. Oh, that's great. Lovely. Okay. And can you tell us how long you've been in the UK now?
We relocated 6 years ago now.
Yeah, almost 6 years.
Almost 6 years, yeah.
That's amazing how, because we met quite soon after you arrived.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
you remember very well.
Yeah.
Wow, to think that was 6 years ago when we first.
Yeah,
It's impressive, yeah.
it's surprising.
Amazing. So, so I guess you're feeling very much at home in the UK now.
Definitely, definitely. When we arrived as a tourist, we felt at home almost immediately. But now I can say, yeah, definitely, we are at home.
We feel at home, of
We feel at
course, you
home.
know.
Yeah.
And it's a very good feeling. Of course, we miss our country, we miss our family, but a part of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic,
Yes.
usually we have occasion to come back home quite frequently. So
yes,
yeah, this is an exception, but
yes.
of course, it's fine to be here for us.
Yes, it's been a bit different recently with, not being able to travel and so on.
Yeah.
That's hard, but of course we've got online video, so I think lots of people are using online video to keep in touch.
Yeah.
Yes, technology is very important in this moment.
Yes.
It save our life in some way, because we can interact with everybody. And
distance, so
yeah, he had his 50th birthday
this
year. Sorry,
thank you for
was
that.
Not nice.
Yeah, it was a WebEx session birthday this year.
You had your 50th birthday on video conference.
Of course.
And all with drinks, I hope.
Exactly. We had a party.
It was funny because we had our party online. So,
amazing. Wow.
Because of the lockdown. So, yeah.
Wow. What's an
another way to celebrate.
I'm waiting. I'm looking forward for that. Yeah.
Yes. Oh gosh. Wow. So, okay. And so I have to say, your English is very good. Speaking both of you very fluently. So, would you say, have you been learning English since childhood when you were at school?
Well, yeah. In Italy, it's almost typical studying English when you're a child, or better with a secondary school at least. Unless I'm mistaken, yeah.
And then it depends
where you live, exactly, because English is the first language. Often is the first language. You may study other languages such as German or French. It depends on where you live. But yeah, English is the must-have, I think. Yeah.
We had a chance to study at school, and also before to move in UK, we did some private courses. And when we came here, we met you, Jill. So
yes,
it helped us a lot with the.
So I had to
try to be more fluent
too. So yes, but I'm
very lucky.
I think now you've been here 6 years, and I can tell just how fluent you've become.
Oh, thank you.
That's great. It's good to know, because we don't have many occasions to have a feedback from someone else.
Oh well, and it was a pleasure to help you both, and also I guess because you're both working in English-speaking environments every day, so that sort of just has a gradual effect of you just get used to the English environment and communicating with people in English. So
yes, it had a big impact. Yes, it was a bit hard at the beginning because try to understand people over the phone, and the different accents.
Yes,
so it was a bit tricky, but I found people very tolerant and helpful. So they was even helping, when you couldn't find the proper word. So I didn't feel in difficulties. So
that's good.
It helped a lot, actually.
Yes. Oh, that's good. And I think what you say about on the phone is particularly difficult, because if you get space, you can't get the extra sort of signals, whether they're looking happy or annoyed or confused. If you don't see that someone's face, if you're on the phone, it's difficult. And as you say, also different accents, even within the UK.
Yeah.
So many.
You have so many accents. It's so difficult sometimes, but yeah.
Yes.
So,
it's challenging, but
it's also very interesting,
Yeah. The variety, that's right. So I think you mentioned you came for a holiday initially, and then you felt some sort of affinity with.
Of course, yeah. We arrived the first time in 2011, unless I'm mistaken, and as a tourist in London. And yeah, I can confirm we felt at home.
We fell in love with the
city, with the way of living, possibly, with the chance offered by the city, by the country, the way of living of people.
Yes.
And there's anything you can do, and you can watch, a lot of museums. So of course museums are everywhere, but to have the chance, to give a donation and to see, get into the same museum hundreds of times, whenever you want, and have the proper experience, is just amazing. And
I think this is the best way to disseminate the culture, if you like, in a country. Because if you have just to pay a donation, it's different than to pay a ticket.
Yes.
So you can do it.
Yes.
Many times in a year. So
many people can get access to.
Yes. So I think that's a good
way.
Tradition that we have, that so many museums and art galleries are free entry, but with a sort of collection point where you can
to support them and then be able to offer this service everybody.
That's great. Good. And so you both got the same feeling about London then when you came?
I think so. Almost immediately.
We came 5 times before to move in UK, and so when we came here, we were just we got used already on the habits, and so how to travel, how to use the Oyster card. So, and we have a friends here, so, and they could show us before to come many things,
Yes. So the Oyster card is the sort of magic plastic card.
You can do everything.
For the transport system, the underground and the buses and everything. You just tap it in electronically, don't you? And it's very simple, not having to hand over coins and get change and all that, which you have to do.
Exactly.
Then if I look back to that period of time, I think we have been lucky because we had these friends at the very beginning, and we had the chance to live as Londoners, if you like. But we were tourists. We were still tourists.
Yes.
We have the chance to live as Londoners, so to leave the city, to live with commuters and see what happens in a daily life.
Just to get.
That was great.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Oh, good. So you could really test it out and, be really sure that
that was our place, basically.
Yeah. Great. Fantastic.
We could manage.
Yes. So, so when you came here to live then, did you have a plan about jobs and going for interviews? What did you just?
No plans.
Just arrived and found somewhere to live, and then started looking around for job vacancies from there?
The first step was to find an accommodation, a property where to live. It was quite challenging because if you don't have a job, you cannot find a property.
And the other way around.
The other way around, so it was quite tricky. But we were successful in the stage, and then I found a job in a few weeks, and she did the same.
Yes.
So in 2 months he started working, and in 3 months I started working. So
yes,
it was a crazy decision. So we left our permanent job and decided to get a new challenge. So, and our friend, they thought we were a bit crazy, but yes, so everything went well, so we can say now that was a good decision then.
It's worked out well, a sort of big adventure.
Yeah,
it was.
It was.
But I guess because you were two of you together, you could support each other through it all, really.
Yeah, it's very important.
Yeah. I think our determination to succeed was the key point, because you may have some desires, some targets to reach, but not we cannot reach everything. We know that.
No.
So
yeah, we didn't know, but of course
we
that
did it.
is all our effort, and we
yeah.
supported each other, you know, and then
and you just have to keep trying different things, don't you? And eventually it will work. And so that's great, lovely. So so are there things that you like in the UK that you don't have in Italy?
Yeah, we don't have a pub in Italy, so I think I like very much the fact that you can easily meet people, start talking with somebody. You know, it's a special place, I think, and then there are very beautiful pubs here in London, so along the river, so very fascinating actually. So it's an icon, of course, for London. And we don't have it. We have different things. It's very typical here, so we really enjoy it.
Yes. So I guess you have maybe more sort of cafes, wine bars, things like that in Italy, more than pubs where they serve beer. And
exactly. Yeah, it's a bit different. But
so, and it's a sort of social mix of people, isn't it? The English.
Yeah, exactly. So it's the way, probably it's more, exactly. The way they approach you as well. So we had such a lovely conversation with people that we never met before, and we didn't met again.
Oh wow, so, that's nice.
Yeah, it's a very nice memory.
Yeah. And there are pubs everywhere, aren't there? You could just turn a corner and there's another pub, and you know they're all different styles and different names and so on.
Some of them are quite old, so the one in London Bridge is, you know, probably
historical place.
Yeah, historical. So it's fascinating because there is history as well.
Yes, that definitely old sort of 19th century or even older buildings, nice architecture.
Exactly.
So, yes.
So very peculiar.
That's great. And so you mentioned earlier, of course, you miss your family back in Italy. Is there anything else that you miss about Italy?
The weather.
Yes. So
sometimes here in this country, sometimes we change the weather, the season 3 times per day. It happens.
Yes.
We cannot complain. And
but in general,
No. And I guess because Milan and Como are sort of in northern Italy, maybe sometimes there's not that much difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, in winter in particular, so we don't feel, because here in London, actually, the temperature is not bad. It's not bad. It's just because the summer is very short here. And so we miss a longer summer.
Yes, because it can be unpredictable here, because I think this year we had quite an early
in April the weather was amazing.
It was like, it's like summer already.
Exactly.
So it gets a bit confusing. I think with climate change, the timings of seasons are changing.
Yes, everywhere.
Yes, and the temperatures and so on. We had a very, very hot day yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, it was very, very hot. Yes, definitely.
What was it, 37 degrees at Heathrow or something like that, which is very unusual for the UK to be in the high 30s.
Yes, definitely.
Yes. So of course, at the moment, we're still under sort of slight restrictions here in the UK with the pandemic. And so would you like to say a bit about how that has affected you? Have you been doing remote working, or have you been having to go into work even in the middle of the pandemic? What has it been like for you?
Well, the pandemic is still affecting our way of living and working, of course. I started working from home till before the actual lockdown in the UK. At some point, my company simply decided for the remote working. It was safer for us. Of course, I can do it. I'm an IT guy, so I can work almost everywhere. I just need an internet connection. That's it.
Yeah.
And our plans are to work remotely till the end of this year, probably.
Really? Wow.
Yeah. We are following the big players in the IT, such as Google or Facebook. So we are not big like such as Google, but yeah,
No.
we are a big player. But the pandemic changed the way we worked.
Yes, yes. Well, I think that's very sensible to keep going to the end of the year, because it is looking like, you know, autumn, winter, it will still be risky.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
It's a very good decision. Not every company decide in that way, so I think it's a good decision. To me, it's different, of course, because I didn't work on the front line, but I still going to work every day. So as soon as you go in the get into the hospital, you are exposed, you know, to some risk. And you know, a lot of people around me had the COVID-19, so I didn't get it. So my main worries was just not to pass the virus to Stefano.
Yes.
So it was of course difficult. It's still difficult, but a bit less. But yes, it is a difficult time for us and for our patients as well, because a lot of people is shielding, and we had to change our way to look after people, our patients. And they are chronic patients, so they need a different kind of support. So we had to modify a bit the way we were still doing telephone consultation, and but we increased the number of telephone consultation because we cannot see patient face to face. We're starting now go back to a bit of normality, but it's still difficult. And so we help people, you know, with advice how to get food delivery, because not for everybody was so straightforward, you know, to get delivery was shielding. They were shielding, so you know, as mental health as well, you know, has been affected quite, you know, significantly. So it's a tricky moment, so we need to stay strong, keep going, and
yes. So in the hospital where you work, was there at one time, were there a lot of COVID patients in intensive care and so on in there?
Yes, because it's a big hospital, so one of the biggest in London. And yes, we had also some colleagues that have been in intensive unit care. So so something was very sad, because we lost people, we lost some staff, but yeah, this is what is the situation at the moment. But at least it's getting better, so we want to be positive.
That's right. I think that the number of patients in intensive care now is much less, I think, isn't it, everywhere in the UK?
Yes, definitely better.
So I think that they're finding ways of treating the illness to sort of stop it getting.
Yeah, now we know more about it. It's still a very strange virus, but doctors and research is helping a lot, and they found that there are different, so they know better what can happen. So They are more aware about what can be done.
Different
life.
And medication that can be used to sort of
there are a few trials as well on kind of medication that can be used, for people, and we have a few trials in our hospital as well. So yes.
So for you, it must have been very worrying, though, coming home and hoping, that you hadn't sort of touched anything, or you must have had to use a lot of protective equipment more than usual.
Yes, and so the government says it was mandatory from the 15th of June to wear a surgical mask, so even in the office. So before that, the policy didn't allow us to do that, probably because of the lack of PPE. So now we all wear a surgical mask in the hospital, and you cannot get access to the hospital without that. So which is great, because we need to protect each other. And of course, washing your hands and social distancing is a bit difficult for us because we are in very small offices, but we do our best, and we are doing our best to protect patients coming in hospital. This is the main thing for us. We want to make a place safe for them, and we are working very hard on that.
Yes. Oh, that's good. So that's obviously a very, very tough time for you both, really, to get through.
Yes. I cannot say differently. I would lie, but yes, but it's fine, even at work, with colleagues, we are all in the same position, so we try our best to help each other, and then just overcome this period of time.
Yes. And Stefano, were you, with your remote working, what was that like? I mean, was it in a way not having to travel to work, so it was saving you time and energy? And
that's fine. Energy is money, if you like. That was excellent. But I have to be honest with you, the first 2 weeks have been very challenging for me. I don't know why. I don't have the explanation. I had difficulties in concentrating or getting simply focused on what I was doing. I was probably simplifying a new way of working, but it was pretty hard for me. Of course, it was easy. I was working from home with my staff, no commuting, so apparently in a perfect situation. But again, first 2 weeks were really bad. Nowadays, I have to say, I'm quite happy for that. I don't want to come back. I will, of course.
Yes.
The offices will reopen again. I will be happy to meet again physically my colleagues, my mates. But again, it's a type of job I can carry out simply from my desk, from home, and I'm quite happy for that.
Yeah, that's good. And do you do plenty of video conferencing with your colleagues?
Every day I spend hours with my colleagues or my clients. So again, from the professional perspective, there's no such a difference.
No.
Of course, previously, if I look back the previous situation, the lockdown, I was meeting my clients in the office. That was great, of course. Now I have web session with them, so we can turn on the web camera, and there's no difference, basically.
No, and it's so flexible, isn't it? And not having to travel, having that extra time, and so
exactly.
on.
And I can wear a shirt. Feel more relaxed, if you like.
Yes. So you could have a shirt and tie on, but you could be wearing shorts or pajamas.
Exactly. This is against the policies, but doesn't matter. They don't know.
So that's good, lovely. So, so in terms of English again, obviously your English has improved over the past few years. Is there? Can you think of an example of something you can do more easily now that you couldn't do before in English?
Definitely calls, phone calls, or simply meetings like this one, for example. Personally, at the very beginning, I was scared because the communication over the phone or with a web session is different by face-to-face one. So I was simply scared. But I have to say, after 6 years and thousands of hours spent on remote sessions like this one, okay.
Yeah,
that's me is pretty the same. I still struggle quite a bit, you know, with the accent from the north of England. So my matron comes from the north, so she knows that her accent is a bit tricky for us.
Yeah.
So so we have a laugh sometimes, you know, when even not myself, but someone else doesn't get what she says, you know. So, oh yes, it's my accent. Yeah. I went back home during the weekend, so it should be stronger because, you know, but as again, you know, the fact that, you know, people is aware that they have a different accent is not a problem, you know. It's just a matter to say, oh, I didn't catch what you said.
Yeah.
It's easy, you know. It's just if you ask in a nice way, you know, can you just repeat, please? So I was thinking, so now it's much better. So I get used to it.
Yes, and sometimes people from a different part of the country use an unusual word. It might be a local dialect word that people don't know in London, anything like that. So that's good. And what's the most difficult thing, would you say, about the English language? What's the hardest part of English?
Some pronunciation.
Yeah, there are some specific words for us that were difficult to pronounce. Yeah, to like, say, such as
though, although,
rough.
Yeah. So.
Yes, time. Yeah, you know that. It was quite hard for us to understand that, but
yes,
something with AW or you know, and K, you know, it's like sometimes I feel a bit shy to say something because I'm not pronouncing very well. So, but again, you know, just have to try, and next time will be better. At least, you know, if you do something wrong.
Because the difficulty with English is that the spelling of English words isn't phonetic, so not like, I think Italian is very specific.
It's very phonetic, yeah.
Once you've learnt the basic rules, you would know how to pronounce any word if you saw how it was spelled. But with English, it's all over the place, isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't work like that. Yeah.
No logic. So,
but this is what it is. So.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
It's nobody's fault exactly. It's just the way the language has evolved over centuries, you know, for various historical reasons. So we can't do much about it, really.
No, but it's fine, you know. And
so that's right, and it's funny sometimes as well. Okay, so, and then just finally then, what advice would you give to someone who's thinking of coming to the UK to live here and work or study? What sort of advice would you give them?
I think, you know, don't give up, to be brave, you know, don't be shy. And then because we met a lot of people ready to help us in different occasions. So of course it's difficult, you know, be aware that it's difficult, but also be optimistic because London offers a lot of opportunities. So you just keep going and then try. Because for us it was very successful, and then we hope that will be for someone else. So
I still agree with her, of course. But I think also the determination you put in place in the game is fundamental. The competition in this country is pretty different from the others. I'm talking about Italy, of course, because we are native Italians. But because there's a lot of competition, you have to do your very best to be successful. The great thing is that you have, every time you have at least one chance to demonstrate what you can do. So this is great.
Yes. So just sort of go for it, you know.
Yeah,
keep trying,
exactly.
don't give up, don't, you know, just keep trying and maybe try different things.
Exactly. Yeah.
And if you fail, not just because you're not in the right place or in the right moment, so it's just because it can happen.
Yeah.
Yes, because I think
life and there is a way just to learn how to to do try again.
Yes, and a lot of luck is involved as well, just being in the right place at the right time and the right people and so on. And just, I mean, I think London being the capital city, obviously it is very competitive. There are lots of people competing for one job vacancy, for example, but, you know, as you've done yourselves, you know, you just kept trying until you got there, and that's great. So congratulations on your successful move to the UK. That's really great. And thank you very much again for taking time to take part in this interview today. So
thank you for your time.
It was a pleasure, actually. So
yeah,
it was a very nice experience. So first time we have been interviewed. So
yeah,
thank you.
Okay. So thank you. So okay. So I think everyone, I hope that's been a helpful and interesting interview for you to watch, and a bit of an insight into what it's like for someone to move to the UK. Do look out for our other interview videos. We have a few of them now on different topics with different people, so do look out for those. And do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and see you again soon. So it's goodbye from the three of us.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.